Freaky Fred is season 1, episode 4B of Courage the Cowardly Dog, and it's also one of the most memorable episodes of the entire series, right behind King Ramsay's curse. Let's get into it. Now we open up with a freestyle from the man Fred himself. He says, "Hello, my friend. My name is Fred, and the words you hear are in my head. I said, my name is Fred, and I've been
naughty."
Which is a common theme in this episode. Fred rhymes all the time. Everything he says ends in a rhyme, and everything he says ends in the word
naughty.
Okay, we ball. So Fred is Muriel's nephew. Eustace knows he's a freak, so he's already like creating a asylum for him, I guess. Fred is visiting from the Naughty Barber Asylum because he's locked up, because he's crazy, but we'll get into that later. So Eustace, already planning to not be there when Fred gets there, boards up and creates a bunch of different locks on the bathroom door. This is where Fred is going to be staying if it's up to Eustace. Muriel is just excited to see her nephew. She's arranging the room for him to come and where she thinks he's going to sleep. So Fred finally shows up and he comes and sits on the couch. Muriel tells Courage to come down and meet him. Fred cocks his eyes, looks at Courage on the stairs, and then busts out this little rhyme right here.
That's when my tired eyes beheld a doggy dog. Like dog he spelled. D-O-G is what he spelled, and that's how I spell naughty.
And then Courage comes down. He does his little ooh scared noise that he be making. And Eustace says he's going to the hardware store because he's got to get something for the door, but don't close the bathroom door because you won't be able to get it back open. That's what he says. Then Muriel tells him to come say hi to Fred. Eustace sits down, looks at him and goes, "Freak, you know, just being Eustace." Or whatever. At this point, Courage looks over and sees the hospital wristband on Fred's arm and realizes, this nigga crazy. He tries to explain to Muriel. Muriel tells him to calm down and then tells Fred, "Oh, you must be tired. Would you like to go freshen up in the bathroom?" Then she tells Courage to show Fred where the bathroom is. So Courage leads Fred to the bathroom. Then she tells Eustace, get him some towels and bring him to the bathroom. Eustace goes upstairs, gives Courage the towels and says, "You go give him to the freak," and then pushes Courage in the door. The door slams behind him. Now we're at the plot of the episode. Courage and Fred are locked in the bathroom door together until Eustace comes back from the hardware store. Fred then notices how fuzzy Courage is, and he starts to, get beside himself. Like, ooh, you have a lot of furage, Courage, and it's making him feel naughty. Then we get some lore, and we learn, in my opinion, why we call him Freaky Fred. So Fred basically explains how his whole fetish started when he was a child and he got his first pet. Obviously looks to be some sort of hamster or gerbil or whatever. And he says that, like, he just loved how fuzzy it was and it was amazing. He started to feel naughty. And so then, what did he say? He said, "I filled with joy and I filled with sighs. I beg your pardon." All the way until he got naughty. Huh? And then we see the hamster is shaved and naked. Courage, obviously freaked because he doesn't know what Fred is about to do. He thinks he's about to tear that ass up. He tries to hide and escape in the toilet. Fred pulls him out. He starts to scream. Muriel is outside the door knitting. She says, "Don't worry, guys. Eustace should be back any moment now." Eustace is parked on the side of the road, not doing what he's supposed to be doing. It's back to Courage and Fred starts telling him, "Yeah, then the next time I lashed out and acted on my fantasies was with my ex. She had beautiful hair. It was so gorgeous. She had a mane that was untamed. And unfortunately, I got naughty." So he says basically he shaves his girl's head. She gets bald. And he says, "I learned that she needed some space. I haven't been naughty since then." Well, not completely naughty. After he finishes the story, he looks over at Courage trying to escape again, this time through the sink drain. He pulls him out. Muriel at the time is like, "Hey fellas, I made you some pancakes," pushes him under the door. Courage grabs him, and then he's like trying to distract Fred by like, "Oh, pancakes." Fred takes the pancakes, starts shoving them in Courage's mouth like feederism, and then he's shaving him while Courage is like gagging on the pancakes. But while he's doing that, he's showing his wrist a little bit. Courage sees the phone number to the insane asylum, the naughty asylum, sorry. And then he dials the number, calls them real quick. I'm assuming gives them the location and what the situation is, and then hangs up, and then gets done in the worst way. He gets shaved from the rooter to the tutor. No help comes. Salvation doesn't arrive in time. Courage ends up booty butt naked and on the bathroom floor. Eventually, though, instead of Eustace coming back and unlocking the door, the nurses from the insane asylum kick the door down, grab Fred, throw him in the back of the truck, and basically he's like, "My vacation is over, blah, blah, blah." Ends the episode saying his goodbyes to Muriel, thanking her basically for her hospitality, Eustace, whose charm he'll miss, and then goodbye to Courage. He had a fun time with them. Sorry if he got a little naughty. With love, Fred. And that's how the episode ends. And honestly, everybody's saying that was the scariest episode. That was the scariest episode. I don't think Fred was really the creepiest or scariest episode. I do think the rhyming with the background la 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 music going on and on and on gave creepy vibes. But as far as like the way CGI was incorporated into the Courage show and some of the themes and plot points of other episodes, this one was kind of mid. And for all of y'all that keep commenting on my videos talking about Freaky Fred, Freaky Fred, Freaky Fred, let this be a reminder to you because Courage had some bangers. But in my opinion, me, Jake Wan, 3 out of 5 stars.